Hello and welcome back to Mrs. Z's Art Corner. Today we are going to be making a washcloth. It'll be using single crochet only, so hopefully it'll be nice and easy to follow. Hope you enjoy the video. Hello, today we are going to be making a washcloth. What you will need is some form of 100% cotton yarn. Today I'm using the Sugar and Cream super size. I will be using a 5.5 Susan Bates hook. So I9, US I9, 5.5. So these are what I'm going to be using today, along with my scissors and my yarn needles. Yarn needles aren't necessary. I just like using them because it makes it look nice. So let's start with our slip knot. I like to do the fish in midair, where you make a fish, grab it, pull it through. If you want to use the finger method where you roll over twice, put one over, pull it off the finger, feel free. Whatever works best for you is what you should be using. Alright, so I'm going to start with chain about 20. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And if you need a pause, feel free to pause. I'm going to try to go a little bit quick because we've already gone over the chain stitch. If you need to go over the chain stitch again or haven't gone over it yet, there's a video up. Oh boy, I've already lost count. So if we lost count, what do? We count. I like to count them by twos because it's quicker. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Perfect. So I got our 20 stitches right here. It'll make a pretty small washcloth, but that's okay because we can always use it. Washcloths are always useful no matter the size. So if you remember, in our single crochet video, you have to make an extra chain stitch in order to start our very first row. So we're going to make an extra stitch. So if you count, there'll be 21 stitches. So for our foundation stitch, we skip one, skip the very first one, go on to the second one, yarn over, pull through one, and then pull through two. And we're going to do this all the way to the end of the row. And forgive my lack of speed. My arms are around my laptop because I couldn't get my other camera to work. So that's how we're going to make it work. We make it work however we need to make it work. Just like in crochet, if you have to do a slip knot one way or the other way, you just do what works. The cool thing about this particular yarn, not sponsored, would love a sponsorship, how cool would that be? That it changes colors for you. So you can already see, I have changed like 3 colors. I've gone from white to yellow to blue, back to white, and then I'm going back to blue again. A lighter blue, which I actually quite like this blue. So that's the fun thing about color changing yarns, is you don't have to do it. It does it for you. Now if you're having trouble getting into the foundation chain stitches, that is totally fine. I always have trouble getting through the foundation stitches because there's less there than a normal stitch would be. If you're noticing, I'm only going through one side of it because there is only one side. Whereas the top has 2 to go through, so it's easier to kind of do it quickly. So we go all the way until we get to the end. All the way. Alright, now we've made it all the way to the end, and remember, do not crochet in this knot. Never crochet in this knot. It's the knot. It's actually our little slip knot from before. It's kind of like our starter. So don't crochet in there, or else you'll end up with 21 stitches instead of 20. And let's just double check here. Remember, we are counting this guy, even though he seems like he's kind of falling off the cliff here. We are counting this guy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. What? What? How did I end up with that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 21. Well, I guess we ended up with an extra one anyhow. But that's okay. What probably happened is I miscounted in my foundation stitch. I'm already hearing the people typing in the comments going, "Oh, you miscounted the foundation chain. It doesn't matter. It's a washcloth. Who cares?" It shouldn't matter. As long as we stay with 21, who cares? So, we're going to chain 1, flip it around, go into the first stitch, just like we did with the foundation row, but instead of going through one loop, make sure you go through both of those loops. So when I make washcloths, I don't really count the chains. I just kind of eyeball it all. So if you've got patterns and you're like, "Oh man, I accidentally made an extra stitch like I just did. Oh boy, what a mistake. The world is ending." What I could do, if I really, really wanted to, I could start the whole thing over. It'd be no problem. No problem at all. But it's a washcloth. You're washing your dishes with it. So I'm going to be happy with whatever comes out. So this is row 2. If you have a pattern, you got to look at row 2. For the instructions. Oh, sorry, I got lost in thought. I kind of stopped midway sentence and I just kept going. That's okay. So if I were reading a pattern, I would read row 2 for my instructions. So you're going to go all the way to the end. Ooh, come on. Sometimes I drop stitches as well, and that's totally okay. Now, you may not be going as fast as I am. That is so fine. Go at your own speed. It probably took me like two hours to make a tiny little square when I first got started. And I've been doing this for, I did the math, and I think it's like 15 years. I've literally been crocheting for about 15 years. Oh, I already started the next row, so let me go back and explain what I just did. So we just did row 2. So remember, we always start the next row with a chain 1, turn her around, go into the very first stitch, and keep going. And we're going to do this forever and ever and ever. Well, maybe not forever and ever. We'll probably run out of yarn before then. Where you're just going to keep going until this length right here, the length from here to here, is going to be roughly the same. It doesn't have to be exactly the same from here to there. So you're going to make it the same length as it is wide. So you're making a little square. If you really wanted to, you could make it a rectangle. It's crochet. It's up to you. Whatever you want to make is whatever you want to make. So from this point, I'm going to mute the video. And I'm going to just fast forward from what I'm doing from right now, okay? Alright, so we just finished up our washcloth. It's nice and square. It's going to be different for everyone, how many stitches you need, or how many rows I should say, how many rows you need in order to get it to square. But it's pretty square, and if it's not exactly square, I don't mind. So, I can't really talk with a needle in my mouth, can I? Okay. So, to cast off, like we discussed in the single crochet video, we're going to cut off about 5 or 6. Longer the better, because you can always cut off. You can't grow back yarn. I wish you could, though. It'd save me a lot of money with yarn. So, pull through, and then pull all the way through. And that is how you do that. In this video, we're going to talk about how to use our yarn needles, which is why I had it out in my mouth. I usually hold my yarn needle in my mouth when I'm crocheting in real life, which is why I tried to talk with it in my mouth. So we're going to put it through. I don't know if you could see that. Oop. Put it through the needle. I like to hold it really close to the nub and then just kind of push it until something sticks out and then grab it and go. If you don't get all of it, that's okay. Just kind of try to shimmy the other ones in there. There we go. And if it starts to do this, just unwind it a little bit and then wind it back up. Oop. Just like that. Alright, so now we've got our yarn in our needle. What I like to do is hide it in the actual washcloth. So what I'll do is I'll go straight down first. So go straight back in where you came out. And I'm going to go to about right here. That's where I'm going to pull through. Pull right through. May take a little bit of wiggling. Especially because cotton has a lot of friction against itself. It's a little bit easier to do with 100% acrylic because it's a little bit more slippery. So now that I've got it right about there, I'm going to go this way now. And the more kind of like zigzaggy changes between upside down, the harder it will be for it to fall out. Now, technically, theoretically speaking, so in theory, if you put it through one, it should be golden. It shouldn't fall out. I am paranoid though, and I'm terrified it will come out in some kind of wash or while I'm cleaning and fall apart. I just like to go a couple ways. So that's about where I'm going to end it right here because I think it's pretty secure. So what I'm going to do is take that needle out. And I'm going to pull it and stretch it so that I know that there's no tension and it's not going to slip out. So now all we have to do, take our scissors, cut it as close as you can, making sure not to cut the actual washcloth. It's cut, kind of wiggle it around. Look at that. Invisible. You would never know. It's like you bought it. Alright. And then we have another one at the very, very beginning. We're going to do the same exact thing. If it's really frayed at the end, like this one is, just take your fingers, lick them, twist it. That's what I like to do. Make sure it's nice, got a nice point. And if you're like really, really upset, I kind of get upset about these weird wispy hairs. Let's take your scissors. Yoink. Oops. Yoink. Look at that. Clean as a whistle. So you got your fingers licked, it's twisted. Put it right through your yarn needle. And this needle's a little bit too small, to be honest. But we're going to make it work. We're going to make it work. Alright. Now we got our yarn on our needle. I'm going to go straight upwards a couple rows till about here. Pull through. Again, don't worry if it's a little bit tough to do. And make sure, I like to constantly kind of pull it and make sure that, so if I pulled way too tight, it would look like this, and that's kind of weird looking. So what I do is I kind of pull it as if there weren't a string being threaded through it. So now I'm going to go sideways, and I just kind of switch it up. Sideways up, sideways up. A couple right there. And again, it'll probably be secure. If I had just done that, it'd probably be secure. But I like to make double, triple sure. And it gives me more practice. Here, I'll show you a different way of where I would cut it. So instead of cutting it in the middle over here, like if I ended it right there, I'd have to cut it there. What I'll do is I'll pull it all the way to the end. All the way through till the edge. Get it like that. Remember, keep adjusting. Keep pulling it to make sure there's no weird tension between the stitches. Now it's at the end. Cut it close. Being sure not to cut the actual washcloth, because if you do that, it'll fall apart. And there we go. That one's hidden, and the other one's hidden. Don't worry about the curly corners. That'll go away when you wash it. If you're really upset about it, if you're really like, oh man, that looks gross, I hate it. What you can do is dampen it with like a spray bottle, or if you just want to run it under water for a little bit. If you've got carpeted floors, that works the best because no matter how big your projects are, your floor is going to fit it. And you're going to take pins, like sewing pins. Let me see if I can reasonably... nope, I can't reasonably get some for you. Well, maybe I can. Let me check my sewing machine. Nope, I don't have any pins. Sorry. But it's the ones with the little bulbs on the end. Oh, sorry. I can do this in editing. Shazam! That's what you're going to be using. And you just pin it into the carpet, let it dry, pinned to the carpet while it's wet. Just a little bit damp. Not like soaking wet, because you don't want to get mildew in your carpet. But, and then once it's completely dried, it will lay perfectly flat, not fat, it's pretty thin. It'll lay perfectly flat to your liking, but it's a washcloth. It doesn't matter if it's got curled ends. You're going to use it for washing your face or your dishes or whatever you need it for. So that's how you make a washcloth using our sugar and cream 100% cotton. And it doesn't have to be sugar and cream. It could be any 100% cotton. So that's the video. Thank you for watching. Have a good one. Bye.